How long were you vegan?
I was vegan from 2013 till 2019.
So in 2019, what was the first thing that you ate?
My ex-husband cooked me some fish on the grill.
So the big news this week is Miley Cyrus has ditched veganism, and we're all wondering why.
So I'm actually right now in a very experimental period. It's actually fun to talk about with you because I know that you kind of have probably some good suggestions on that, but I'm experimenting a lot with like my diet and my body and my routine and my exercise right now.
Isn't it interesting that Miley Cyrus ditched veganism during an experimental phase? But what's crazier is the fact she's looking for nutrition advice from Joe Rogan, who, if you don't know, is a glorified hunter and regularly takes money from the meat industry on his podcast. He even tried the carnivore diet earlier in the year.
I've watched every bodybuilder's YouTube about how they still
You can't pay attention to those
train.
guys.
That's what I'm saying. All of a sudden, I'm like,
Those
all I
guys
eat is
that are-
celery, and like, why are my thighs like fucking huge?
Those
Like,
vegan bodybuilder guys, they're almost all on steroids.
Yeah,
it's
I'm not on
fake.
steroids.
I don't know what she's talking about with celery and flies. I don't know what Joe Rogan's talking about, because I know loads of vegan bodybuilders that aren't on steroids. Some might be, but the point is you can do a healthy vegan diet healthfully.
Everybody's different. You know, we all have different ancestors, and our ancestors
Exactly.
come from different parts of the world. And, you know, I don't know if the blood type thing is accurate, but some people really believe that.
So this is another thing that I like about seeing the brain is I try to eat for my brain type and not my blood type
brain
necessarily.
type.
My brain type.
If you're watching this and thinking this sounds woo-woo, then you're not alone. There's no such thing as a blood type diet. There's no such thing as a brain type diet. But let's get to the heart of the issue, which is when Miley says her vegan diet wasn't very good for her brain health.
Was vegan for a very long time, and I've had to introduce fish and omegas into my life because my brain wasn't functioning properly.
So let's break this down. What Miley's basically saying is that omega-3s are important for optimal brain health, which is true. But she seems to think that vegans can't obtain omega-3s, which is untrue, because when vegans have flax seeds, for example, they're able to convert the ALA from the flaxseed into omega-3, such as EPA and DHA. So I don't know what she's saying, but it's completely untrue.
But I like looking at my brain and going, okay, listen, like someone cut my brakes, right, on my brain, and I have to take all the things, omega, was vegan for a very long time, and I've had to introduce fish and omegas into my life because my brain wasn't functioning properly.
Miley Cyrus is basically saying that she needs fish in order to get the omega-3s, which, as I've said before, is completely untrue. But let's just say, hypothetically, vegans can't get omega-3s from the ALA and things like flaxseed, and they do need to supplement. Well, you can get algae-based supplementation, so it is possible to supplement without having fish.
And I was like so dry from having none of these healthy fats in my diet. I did what I could with like as many freaking avocados a day as I could have and other things, but it's hard to get the fat.
Yeah.
I also think when somebody notices a massive improvement in health from a very small dietary tweak, this screams of the placebo effect. As Dr. Matthew Nagra said, on a physiological level, it's impossible for a few meals of seafood to drastically change omega-3 levels, especially within the brain. This becomes even more likely when a vegan is constantly being told that the diet is deficient by those who clearly have not seen the data. We can start to believe it. That being said, we have no clue what Miley was actually eating. And another doctor, gynecologist Dr. Neetu, said, Miley Cyrus is equating veganism, which is about ethics, with healthy eating. We don't know what her diet was. Miley has likely been misguided, and it's a shame if she didn't try and find help from evidence-based plant-based doctors and nutritionists who are vegan, but also know the science. Anyway, we noticed Miley Cyrus unfollowed plant-based news on Instagram, but we wish you all the best on your journey.
I have 22 animals on my farm in Nashville. I've got 22 in my house in Calabasas. Like, I'm doing what I need to do for the animals, okay? The reason that I kind of started this was because I had a fish that was highly intelligent. When I would come through the door, and I'm also highly stoned, but I would come through the door and this blowfish would go to the side and get excited, and I would, you know, like my pig, my animals are very food oriented, so the love comes from the food giving.
You gotta know the truth, because the truth will set you free.